Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I haven't really had a chance to talk about them because, we weren't here last week, but they are currently 2-0. Some would say it's FitzMagic. You know what? I'm not going to jump on the Ryan Fitzpatrick bandwagon. I think the Buccaneers have a very good chance of going 3-0 this week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I don't want to jump ahead of myself here because Ryan Fitzpatrick, I've seen this on Twitter and Facebook, and it's true. I totally know what they're talking about. We, as Buccaneers fans, again, there you go with that Homer stuff saying we. As Buccaneers fans, we are stuck in the Fitzpatrick cycle. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with the Ryan Fitzpatrick cycle of quarterbacking, it starts this way. He ends up at a team as a backup. The starting quarterback, whatever the case may be, he might get injured, he might get suspended. In this case, Jameis has been suspended. Fitzpatrick will take over, play phenomenally, and pretty much win the starting position, and then suck and get traded. That is the Fitzpatrick cycle. It's happened with multiple teams. I've seen it happen. I know that it's happening. So I'm not going to get ahead of myself and say that Tampa Bay is going to be undefeated. I would absolutely want that. As I said before with Nebraska stuff, as a fan, of course you want your team to always be undefeated and win football games. That's asinine to say that you don't want those things. But I'm not ready to jump ship. See what I did there? Jump on the bandwagon and say that Fitzpatrick is the answer. Do I think he should be the starting quarterback even after this week? Absolutely. Totally agree with what Deshaun Jackson said. You got to stick with the hot hand. You got to stick with a guy that's been playing well. He's leading the NFL in passing yardages. He has 8 touchdowns. I picked him up on my fantasy team because they're playing the Steelers this week, and the Steelers' defense is just hot garbage. So before I get to the topic of Jameis Winston, I just wanted to this is the Homer episode. If you haven't figured out, Jake doing a solo episode of The Audible is just him being a Homer. So yes, I'm excited. I do believe there's a little bit of FitzMagic. I think the team is just running on a different level when he's in there. And I think it's mostly because Fitzpatrick isn't a distraction. Jameis has always been a distraction. Even back in his Florida State days, he's been a distraction. I thought once he got drafted and once he went to Tampa, I thought he was going to turn his situation around. I thought he was actually going to do something differently and finally have something click in his head and be a legitimate franchise quarterback. Clearly, that's not happened. He's been sued by the Uber driver that he allegedly sexually assaulted. I'm not a lawyer, but I got a strong feeling they're going to settle out of court. And that Uber driver is going to get a lot of money. Rightfully so. I mean, it's alleged. We don't know the exact story. I personally think she's telling the truth. Just given Jameis Winston's history, it doesn't seem like this is something he wouldn't do. So I side with her on this. And yeah, get your money in this situation. So yes, the Uber driver is suing Jameis. And if there wasn't already a distraction behind him, it's just gotten worse. And this is a great example of why Ryan Fitzpatrick has to be your quarterback. I don't think Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to be the answer for the future. I think you try and go and get a quarterback in the draft if you're Tampa. But I think he's the answer short term. I think if Ryan Fitzpatrick stays in at the quarterback position for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they will go 8-8 or 9-7 and maybe sneak in a wild card spot. And I've been saying that for 3 years now, but this is the best that this offense has looked in a long time. And they've had Mike Evans, they had Deshaun Jackson last year, and O.J. Howard. Those pieces are finally coming together. JPP was a nice addition to the defense. Quan Alexander, Levante David are solid linebackers. They've been solid linebackers their whole time with the Buccaneers. And I'm even talking Raheem Morris. Well, Levante I don't think came in around Raheem Morris. I'm talking Lovie Smith days stellar for Levante David. And he's a Nebraska guy, so yeah, double homer, I know. But going forward, FitzMagic, ride that out. I think you're playing with the football gods when you dress up like Deshaun Jackson at a press conference. It's almost like you're tempting fate. But I think no matter what, you go with Fitzpatrick.